Hi, and welcome, everybody. I'm Stuart Cohen, the host of this coaching session. Our mission here is to help you build a bigger, better group business. And as I've said before to you recently, there's no better time to be an expert in group travel. I sure hope that as you listen to this together with me right now or later, if you're out on a run on the treadmill or in the car, that you're getting the phone calls, you get the emails. People are excited. They're hungry. And I do hope that you're here not only to eavesdrop and listen, but to ask and share. Ask and share. So before we kick off with a message I want to bring to you, which I think you're going to find interesting, and it's under the sort of the umbrella of taking control, which is what you need to do. You need to take control to be hired. Okay? You need to. So I put together a list of some questions we're going to get to. Before we do that, though, I want to encourage you, for you travel advisors here in the audience. Number one, I'm grateful you're here. Number two, if you have specific questions or a story or an anecdote you wish to share or ask, type it in now. Get it in there, because I want to make sure that I answer your question, share your story, which could be a success or a failure, an opportunity, a challenge. I don't care. This is unscripted. I come prepared, but not with a script. So it's fun to see where we go. And I'm here for you. I'm your business coach when it comes to groups and all things business in general. Good morning. Linda is in the house. A happy birthday, Trinita and Hans and everyone else who is still in the house, who was in the house today with me. I'm very grateful that you're here. I've also invited, Nicole is here too. Hey, and I will be reaching out to you, Nicole, to talk some ADHD stuff as well. So I've also invited not only our boot campers who are members of Group Sales Boot Camp, but also advisors who attended my Boot Camp Live March, Boot Camp Live June, and if you're in the Group Sales Success community on Facebook. So this is like an all-in opportunity, and I do hope you leave this time together with something, whether it's inspiration, motivation, or a new technique, a new strategy, but feeling good that you spent time with me together. So please be free right now to jump in and type in your question, your anecdote, your story, your challenge. And like I said again, you know what I'm talking about. Hans just typed in, a boot camp live was awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. It was 9 hours, 3 hours a day. I am exhausted, as you probably are, to listen to this voice for 3 hours a day for 9 hours. However, I'm glad it was worth it for you. So here's what I'm going to start off with, and it's under that concept of taking control, which I hope by now you know is a mantra of mine for you, as it is for me. I'm not in your business because I don't own a travel agency, but I do own a business. And when I get a call from somebody who's interested in potentially hiring me to speak, I need to show them that I am confident in my abilities, that I know what questions to ask. I'm not fumbling. I'm not nervous. And that I sort of take control of the conversation, because if I'm going to get hired, why would they want to hire somebody who's not confident, who's unwilling to take over the conversation? Because if not, they do it themselves. So it's so identical to being hired for what you do too. And to be honest with you, if that caller is unwilling to give you control, is unwilling to answer your questions, which I'm gonna give you right now, the 9 questions, so get ready to write them down, then move on. Then you know what? They're going to treat you as an old school, old fashioned agent, because before there were so many of in this beautiful industry who were purely agents, just giving price quotes, just booking the off-the-shelf, bare-bones, stripped-down product, whether it's groups or not. So that's the dilemma that you who are right now looking at me or listening to me are dealing with. And I saw a post in the boot camp group. No, it was the mastermind group. Poor travel advisor. Was it you, Linda? Forgive me, or Sharon. I don't remember that you get this call from someone who wants an FIT trip, who's driving you nuts, making changes, not trusting what you're doing, what you're saying, a sort of just every step of the way. It's a rocky road. It's a tough go. That was Sharon. I thought so. And that's what inspired me also to give you this list of 9 things that perhaps you are already asking when you get a lead. So I'm setting the stage. Either the phone rings and someone calls you out of the blue, or you get an email lead, somebody sort of dropped in the box and may have a group opportunity for you. So this is specifically for groups. Now, I know you probably already have a list, a strategy for how you handle leads that come in by phone or come in by email. And I'm not going to give you those questions that you probably already have set in stone. But I'm going to give you some questions in case you're not asking these that perhaps you will adopt into that opening speech, because I want to help you. I want to guide you towards taking control of the conversation and getting hired to do the job. Because after all, it's an interview. It's a two-way interview, isn't it? They're interviewing you and you're interviewing them. And to be honest with you, professionals, if they don't give you the time of day and allowing you to interview them and them interviewing you, if it's just about price, you say, see ya, goodbye. You got other things to do, other people to talk to, because it's going to drive you crazy. And I don't want that to happen. So the 3 rules before we start, and I give you the 9 key questions. There's 3 rules. You just have to agree to these 3 rules. Number 1, please have this conversation by phone call, not by email. The 9 key questions I'm about to share with you will not work if you ask them via email. It has to be on a phone call. Number 2, I highly encourage you to work by appointment if you can. This is not required, but I'm preaching to the choir here. You and I both we all know that it works so much better by appointment. And that's another level of control, so that they have an expectation of sharing that time with you, right? And it's an exclusive time to be together, whether it's 15 minutes or 30, you have an appointment. Boy, that sets the stage for professionalism now, doesn't it? Think of all the, when you're shopping for something, a big purchase, whether it's hiring an attorney or a real estate agent or buying something big, it's almost always by appointment. I like that personally because I know that person is giving me focus time, and I've cleared the decks to give my time to them. And number 3, there are no yes or no questions. So wait, let me rephrase that. You will not hear me suggest you ask any yes or no questions. And you know the answer to that one. Why, right? The why is so you get high mileage. You ask high mileage questions and you get really rich, vibrant answers. Does that make sense? All right. So if you've just joined, please check in. Let me know that you're here. I'm very grateful you are here. Again, whether you're in boot camp or from boot camp live, March or June, or in the community, or we're friends. I really opened this up to everyone because I really felt compelled to share these 9 questions with you. And again, it's about taking control. Hey, Doreen's in the house. Yeah, this is great. Karen's in the house. It's so awesome that you're here. And as you type in, by the way, please, Patty's here. Please be generous. Rather than send your message in the chat box just to the panelists, make sure you send it to panelists and everyone so that your colleagues can see what you're saying, what you're sharing. This way, it's kind of a big old love fest. Misty's here. And Misty, we're going to connect too about that. Here we go. So here are the 9 questions. Number 1, and this is for a lead that comes to you, okay? Number 1, I have a few questions for you that will help me confirm if I'm the right group travel specialist for you. Is it okay to proceed? I'm going to say it again. And if it's too much for you to handwrite and you want me to type this out and make it available, I will do it. But before you easily just say, yes, Stuart, just type it out. Hear me out and try to write this down and use your own words. These are my words, how I would ask it. Number 1, I have a few questions for you that'll help me confirm if I'm the right group travel specialist for you. Is it okay to proceed? That's question number 1. Oh, that's cool. Misty's going to type it out and she's going to send it to everyone, panelists and attendees in the group so you have it. Now, if they say no, I don't have time for your questions. I just need a price quote. Guess what you're going to say? Bye-bye. Because you're not in that game, right? You're not a commodity agent. So more than likely, you're going to say, excellent. I'm grateful that you contacted me. Thank you. You're going to give a double gratitude shout out right there. Excellent. Excellent. Grateful that you contacted me. Thank you. So whatever words you use for gratitude. Question number 2 now this one you probably already asked, but I think it's important early on to know if they have any idea who you are or not. If they referred to you, how they found you. So it's real simple. How'd you find me? That's it. Short, sweet. They cannot answer yes or no. How'd you find me? Now, if you want to position yourself or brand yourself as not that it's not just you, perhaps you've got staff, or you just want to position yourself as bigger than just me, you can always say, how'd you find us? How'd you find us? I think that's cool, even if it's just you. That's okay. Number 3. This is number 3. Where have you traveled together as a group in the past? Where have you traveled together as a group in the past? Now, there's one of 2 ways they can answer, right? It's either going to be a yes or a no. So if they affirmatively just answer, because remember, you're not asking, have you traveled together as a group in the past? Because then you're going to get a yes or a no. You don't want that. You want to pull information. You're playing detective here. You're qualifying even before you do the heavy duty qualifying. Okay. And so if they tell you where they've traveled together, oh, we've been on this ship, oh, we've been to this destination, oh, we've been to this island or on this tour, then you're going to ask a follow-up to that. Who did all of those arrangements and bookings for you? Who did all those arrangements and bookings for you? The reason why I want you to ask this as a sort of a 4A, a preliminary question, is A, of course, clearly they've traveled together as a group before. That's important because as you start to dig down and peel the onion back, you're going to get the history, right? You're going to understand, well, how come they're not calling that other agent or going direct again or using their cousin, whoever booked it? There's a lot more questions beyond that. And wouldn't it be cool if they said, yeah, we didn't use a travel agent before. We didn't use an advisor before. This is our first time and we don't know if we really need you. And that's okay. That's cool. It's your time to shine. I think, and you'll agree, more people than ever before wish they had a trusted advisor. Wish they did. If they answer the question and say, well, we haven't traveled together as a group in the past. That's okay. That's perfect. So your default question now, that would be 4B. What brings you all together now? What brings you all together now? Now, more than likely, if they've traveled before together, they're going to tell you, well, we travel once a year for this. They're going to, remember, you're pulling information out. But if they've never traveled before, and again, these are your initial high-level questions, you're interviewing them to make sure they're the right opportunity, the right client prospect for you. What brings you all together now, right? So that's 4B. All right. Question 5. Well, here we so that's 4. So there's question 3, Misty. Just let me repeat. This is, where have you traveled together as a group in the past? And after they answer that question, you're going to hit them with question 4. And your question 4 is going to be based on their answer to number 3. I hope that's not confusing. I'm looking at it in writing here. So I'm sorry if I've confused you, but question 4 is a variable based on how they respond to 3. Okay. Number 5, how did the group choose where and when you want to travel? Now, you're going to ask question number 5 regardless of how they answer the prior question. If they've traveled together as a group before, you're going to ask, how did the group choose where and when you want to travel? If you notice, professionals, I'm not asking a question that they could possibly answer with a yes or no, because we're asking either where or how, right? You see where I'm going here? So question 5, how did the group choose where and when you want to travel? This will obviously indicate if they've even had these discussions. This will indicate where they are in the process. Correct, Alex. Open-ended questions. This will absolutely paint a picture of where they are in the process. They could be early stage and they may not know where they want to go, or they may know exactly where they want to go. But you're not asking, have you decided where you want to go? That's a yes or no. You're asking, how did the group choose where and when you want to travel? And it's where and when. It's a big question. Get them talking. Get them talking. Number 6, how or where do you all communicate regularly? How or where do you all communicate regularly? This is an important question, because this will help you understand, again, if it is a true affinity group or not. As you move through this process with me of these 9 opening salvo questions, you're determining if this is a true affinity group or not, or if it's speculative, right? Or if it's promotional, or if it's something you even want to do. And wouldn't it be exciting if they answer that question that they have a list, or they're part of an organization, or they are a family and they have an active Facebook group, or they are all connected with their church or with their temple or with their local club. This is going to have a big revelation for you. How or where do you all communicate regularly? Number 7, I think this number 7 is going to help you understand budget and experience without you specifically asking that horrifying question. Do you have a budget in mind? Right? And I know, Linda, when we go back, we looked at Sharon's dilemma that she posted in the group. Those clients refuse to even reveal a budget. I don't even think you should ask that question, to be honest with you. It also rules out certain brands, because they may say, well, we're never cruising on this brand again, or we've done that, we're done with that. Most important, it's sort of a loyalty question. Right off the bat, they may say, well, we've always cruised on this brand. They may say, we always stay with this resort chain. And you'll know that if they say Carnival, or if they say Crystal, if they say the Hyatt, or if they say the Royce Carlton, I don't know. I mean, you see what I'm saying? This will give you an idea of where their loyalty is, where what they're thinking of, which they may have already made a decision, and potentially who to avoid as well, and a general idea of budget and experience. What particular brands do you all love most? Number 8 of 9. This is big. You've heard me say this before if you've attended any of my training. Will I have the group's permission to present you with a more inclusive package? I'm going to say it again. Will I have the group's permission to present you with a more inclusive package? Make sure you enunciate the more. I don't want you saying all and getting trapped. Guess what? They're going to answer this question with a question, right? They're going to say, well, nobody's ever asked me that before. What does that mean? You're asking me for permission for hold on there. What does that mean? And here's your beautiful opportunity, professionals, to shine, for you to stand out, for you to validate why they need to hire you versus anybody else out there. Here's where, if you've heard me say this before, you're going to say, well, when my groups, when all of my clients give me permission to package, which they do, because frankly, that's the only way I work, then I can negotiate better on your behalf. I have a stronger negotiating ability, and I can build in all the stuff you want. So it eliminates stress and risk, adds value and convenience. Yeah. You've heard me say this before. But be ready to respond to the question, well, what do you mean? Because unless they've called someone else here from boot camp who's asking the same question, they'll be like, what? What do you mean permission to package? And it's important to establish this right off the bat, because you know you're not going to be selling or offering the off-the-shelf bare bone stripped down product. And number nine, and this is in the interest of you taking control from the beginning, and you're only going to ask this last question if you think this might be an interesting opportunity for you. Okay. Number 9, what questions do you have for me? You're turning it around here. You're giving them free access. And won't it be fascinating to see what they ask? Are they going to ask about you as a professional? Are they going to ask about your credentials? Are they going to just turn it right back to price? I think it invites them to interview you on a more deeper level, on a more personal and professional level. What questions do you have for me? Now, I've just read you these 9 questions. Some of you may already ask these. You all have a set of opening salvo questions. However, what if you were to integrate these with what you're already asking, or strictly ask these? Take control from the get-go. Interview them from the get-go. I'm here to tell you, I don't preach anything that I don't do myself. And when I get a call for a potential speaking gig, I take it over. I ask very similar questions. And I say the reason why I'm going to ask you a few questions, because right away they're going to say to me, so, what do you talk about and how much do you charge? No. If I answer that question, I could answer it wrong. I don't know anything about you. I need to learn about you. So I take it over. I said, tell you what, I'm happy to answer your questions for sure. But if it's okay with you, first of all, I'm so glad you called me, but I have a few questions for you to make sure that I'm your guy. that I could possibly even be the perfect voice for your special event. So is it all right if I ask you a few questions to make sure that this is the right opportunity for me, whether you hire me or not? I want to make sure that our conversation is going to be fruitful, and then of course I'm happy to answer your questions. So let me take a pause here to see if any of you have questions. I try to avoid what's your budget and the basic stuff, and again, all high mileage questions. And there we go. You are a rock star, Misty. Thank you for sharing these questions for all attendees. Awesome. And you can copy and paste. You can download that. That's super cool. And Linda says, this sounds like you're conducting a job interview. You're right. That's what it is. Thank you, Linda. It is a job interview. Friends, what if you absolutely did a paradigm shift, and when you get a lead, when you get a phone call, you turn it so that rather than them being in control and asking you and almost always boiling it down to price, because they don't know that you have a specialty, that you have special talents and skill sets to offer. They don't know to ask you that stuff. Well, train them. Take it over. You ask them the questions. You interview them because you're busy. Tell me you're not busy. Of course you're busy. So wouldn't it be great to take control from the very beginning? And everyone is thanking you, Misty, for publishing those. And Misty goes to add here, number one, if they're only concerned about price and not willing to take your advice, see you later. Number two, work with clients by appointment only, and there are no yes or no questions, right? So those are the three opening rules. That's perfect. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Isn't it great when everybody helps each other? It's a beautiful thing. Thank you so much. All right. Now we're going to dig into a question sent to me by Karen at South Lake Travel. She is a long-time Group Sales Bootcamp member and a mastermind member as well. And I very much want to hear before I answer this question. And to be honest with you, I'm giving you a little preview. I'm not sure I have the perfect answer. This is a tough one, but I'm going to put it out there. And I want you to chime in, please. And also, while I'm reading this, if you had attended Bootcamp Live March, Bootcamp Live June, or any of my trainings, did you do anything that I suggested, and did it work? Did you not do anything I suggested, and why? What's holding you back? I want to make sure that I tend to you as a coach to answer your questions and leave it unscripted and just sort of make this that business variety show that I promise. Well, here we go. Listen up, everybody. Pull up a chair. This is a goodie. This is a goodie. Karen writes, what if a group leader, for example, a chef, bails on you 3 days before departure of the trip? And she puts in parentheses, bails on you for a legitimate reason like an illness, and no one wants to go on the trip without the chef. So in other words, friends, this affinity group is built around one person, the chef. Now, you can substitute chef for anyone who you have in mind to lead a group. They're the magnet, right? They are the glue that binds everyone together, whether it's a chef, an author, a publisher, a sommelier, an artist of some nature, a guru in whatever category, or a group. It could be a musical group, right? And so substitute that and put yourself in this position, because so many of you, I know some of you hire specific teachers or trainers to do stuff, right, Danny? And what happens if that key person can't go? So let me continue reading on. How does an advisor protect herself or himself from the loss of all those non-refundable payments? In the past, an advisor could have everyone buy travel insurance and include CFAR, cancel for any reason. But today, the insurance companies will only reimburse 50 or 75% back. So travel insurance is no longer the quick answer that, hey, listen, if there's an illness or however you word it, that this person who is the key attraction, the only attraction that doesn't show, you get your money back because you're going to be, if you want that protection, you have to buy the insurance. That's not there anymore. And Karen finishes off by saying the only other option, of course, would be to reschedule a trip to another date. Any other solutions? And of course, when you schedule another date, well, how many people are going to be able to go on the new date, right? How you know you're going to get the same rate on the new date? Because the brand, the supplier you're using has nothing to do with this calamity. So first, I want to see what you think, and I'm going to share a few thoughts and experiences that I have had in my time and recommendations, because there is no easy answer, Karen, right? No easy answer. By the way, if you've just joined us, please make sure you come in and type into the chat box to panelists and attendees and just say hi. I love knowing that you're here. And whether you are simply eavesdropping or want to participate, I encourage both. Linda, thank you for saying you attended Boot Camp Live in March. It was great. Appreciate that very much. Misty offers, seems like we would need a disclaimer in the terms and conditions. Absolutely, positively correct. And in fact, Michael K just typed in your terms and conditions, it should be clear that the trip is going whether or not the host is going for whatever reason. Your cancellation policy should also make this clear that if this happens, it could be, well, in the full loss range. I'm not sure what that means, but let me just repeat what you both said. Has to be in the terms and conditions and should be clear the trip is going whether or not the host is going for whatever reason. And Doreen offers, yikes, before I tell the group, I would see who else is available. Listen up. If I can find someone, I would say, so-and-so can't make it, but so-and-so is here and will go. I would focus on the alternatives, great qualities, and all the benefits of the existing group. And in parentheses, she says, P.S., pray it works. I hear you. All right. And Michael also added in, if it's close to the departure, cancellation could mean travelers who cancel will lose 100%. Oh, yeah. It could be a disaster, right? And Hans just added, maybe have the group leader write a note to the group, explain the situation, and have the group leader throw their support to a substitute they recommend. Thank you, Hans, for offering that. So everything you have all offered here is excellent. Number one, has to be in the terms and conditions. And number two, what about a substitute or alternative? So I'm going to give you my take on this right now. The bigger the celebrity, and Misty just said, or also have someone who is already going as a backup group leader. Right on the money. The bigger the celebrity, the more complex their contract with you is going to be. If they are a celebrity and they are normally making bookings to appear, and you know, if you're at this level, you'll see how it works. You may maybe never even get to speak to this group leader, this person, right? You'll have to work through an agent or through some kind of a company that arranges this. But now we're talking big. Then they're going to have a clause that says that does not hold them liable if for some reason they can't go. And you have to read that or have an attorney read it to make sure that they can't just decide at the last minute, I don't want to go, that it has to be for very, very serious reasons like an illness. Because you don't want to depend on somebody who's going to say, yeah, listen, I'm not coming because I got an offer for twice the money over here and I'm not going to show up. That's a big problem. You don't want to do business with anybody who's going to pull that nonsense. But here's what I highly suggest, and this is really drawing upon everyone who's already offered your tips and advice, even if it's not a big time celebrity. Even in Karen's example, in her case, that it's a chef, a local chef, a local celebrity, if you will, but a leader nonetheless. So substitute your person, if they're the teacher or the trainer, that if they don't give you a contract, an appearance contract, then you will have to give them a contract. And this is beyond, this transcends a group agreement letter, right? This is a contract. Whether you have a paralegal or an attorney drafted up, very important that you have them agree to the only reasons why they could possibly cancel, right? And an attorney or paralegal will help you this if it's illness or a serious family matter. I mean, you have to make sure that the words you use don't give them an out, but also give them a true clause. If, gosh forbid, something serious happens, serious stuff does happen. So it has to be actually identified, those allowable reasons for them not to show. And this is my spin, they need to provide a suitable, equal, like substitute. They need to. Why? Because that chef, that artist, that teacher probably knows other chefs, artists, teachers. And they need to know that if something terrible happens in their world and they need to exercise that clause and they can't be there themselves, even though they've made a promise, they will find somebody who is suitable to fill in for them. The reason why I'm sharing this with you is because in my speaker's contract, I have the same thing. If I get hired by Dream Vacations, which I have, or Travel Agents, or Nexion, or Virtual, whoever, to do, even if it's just a basic workshop, or especially if it's a general session keynote, it's me. They're hiring me. I am that chef, right? I am that artist. I am that musician. I am that teacher. So in my contract, I actually say that if there, and I should go back and look at the verbiage, because maybe you could use the verbiage that I've used for years as I'm thinking here, that I will provide a suitable substitute for me. And mind you, let me make this very clear that when some companies don't use my contract, they insist on their contract, whatever, the same thing exists, that it's my responsibility to find it. And now let me take it one step further. Now you're thinking from a consumer standpoint, right? Karen, and right, everybody else. What do you do with the consumers who've already paid the big bucks to see this guy or that gal do their thing? You need to put the same, and this is going back to what you said, Michael, and others, in your terms and conditions with the consumer, saying, in the unforeseen event of an illness, and you're going to list the same exact terms that your artist, your chef has signed with you, they're going to sign the same terms that if this should happen, then this artist, right? You're not going to call it a group leader because consumers don't understand what that means, right? Will provide us an appropriate substitute. Again, the key words are very important, right? So therefore, Karen and everybody else, you need to get in writing protection from that artist. I'm just going to call them an artist just for ease of this conversation. And you're going to make sure the consumer signs before they pay, signs an agreement that says that they will accept a substitute. So you, as a travel professional, the agency owner, have accepted that clause, and they have to accept that clause. And again, it's an unlikely event, right? It's an unlikely event, but you need to protect yourself. Now, there is one more thing I want to mention that I am not equipped to answer. And maybe somebody here has that experience. It's come up before on Power Hours. I'm not an insurance guy. I'm not a liability guy. I'm a simple salesman. Okay. But event insurance, you can buy insurance for just about everything and anything. And maybe some of you have this experience, but in case you get sued, I hope that you are at an LLC or a subchapter or something to protect yourself, that you have these contracts that the artist has signed and that the consumers have signed. And in case you get yourself in hot water, right, you have some level of protection as well, and you are insured against a calamity. One more thing I want to share with you, that do you remember when the New York Giants football team, when they won the Super Bowl? It's going back a couple of years now, Well, when they won, I was vice president of group sales at World Travel Holdings. And we actually signed a deal to do a group with New York Giants football players. Pretty cool stuff, right? Well, guess what happened? They won. Now, you may be saying, well, Stuart, that's awesome. That's great. But here's the rest of the story. Because they won, and forgive me, I am the farthest from a sports fan. So basically, what is it called when the top players go to Hawaii or something? They pray, is it the Pro Bowl? What's it called? Somebody help me out over here, because I'm a dangling participle. Pro Bowl. Thank you. So all of the players who we had anticipated coming could not, because they're going to the Pro Bowl. And so they part of the agreement, I protected myself and they protected their self, that they had to send other players who, listen, they were all good players, and they were not, of the same caliber, because the big shots went to the Pro Bowl, and it was a tough issue. It just was what it was. At least they sent great players they showed up. I met them all. I even got to see the ring, which weighs as much as me. It's about the size of my head. It would fit on my wrist, the Super Bowl ring. And there you go. So I just want to give a real life example of that happening. Let me catch up on the comments here. And let's see here. Karen said, okay, here. It sounds like a great idea to find a substitute, but if these guests have traveled multiple times with this chef, they are not going to be happy with a substitute. I'm still trying to find an insurance that would protect me. So this is Karen, who asked South Lake Travel, who originated this question. So I understand the part about this substitute, and especially if they specifically have come to see, like, let's just, it's an artist, right? They're coming to see him or her. I get it. That at the end of the day, this is reality. This is life. And I know people would be really upset and really aggravated. All you can do is protect them, protect you, and protect the consumer too. And if they don't want to take that risk of paying the deposit and at the same time signing an agreement saying that I understand that if the chef is not able to participate due to these circumstances, these unforeseen circumstances, that I agree. I cannot get my money back, blah, 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 blah. And listen, we all know some people are going to understand and some people are not, but it's a fact. It's the deal. Linda said, yes, I think event insurance would be a good idea. We used to buy it when I was with the Business Women's Group. We just bought it from the State Farm lady in our group. So that's interesting. She got it through State Farm. It was just somebody who was already part of the group. Linda said, or errors and omissions would cover. Good question. I don't know. I don't think errors and omissions would cover that, Linda, because you haven't made an error or omission. Because you know you're going to get that signed with the artist and signed with the consumer too. There you go. All right, before we move on to another subject, I need to ask you, are there any more comments or questions on this? And by the way, I know so many travel professionals download this or listen to this as a podcast. It doesn't mean you can't contribute. I know maybe you got an idea you wish you could share. I can't hear you, but I know you're thinking of it, or maybe you have an experience. It could be good, could be not so good. Reach out to me. Let me know, because I will share it with the group the next time we're together, which actually is going to be June 24th. June 24th, we have our next group sales power hour. All right. And Karen adds one final thought. I've talked to insurance companies about event insurance, and they said I wouldn't be protected. There you go. You have your answer, ladies and gentlemen. So it all comes down to getting it in writing and protection, so everyone is full disclosure, so you protect yourself against the what ifs, All right. And one more point here. Even if this is not a big shot chef, when I say big shot, I mean that with all love. I don't mean big shot in a negative way. I mean they're just a big influencer, right? Everyone's coming to see him or her. Okay. That, so, but don't get me wrong when I say that. It's just that I would imagine if you're doing business with them, that you've also done your own vetting. Now, listen to me carefully. I got to believe, friends, that you're not going to pick somebody or partner with somebody who you're feeling a little wonky about. You don't really know if you could trust. You don't really know enough about them. And you realize it's a little risky. Friends, don't do it. Don't do it. Because then what happens is you get sidetracked. You get refocused on the cash, on the money. And you know what happens when you sweep this stuff under the rug? The chances are slim. I'm just going to go for it because there's a big payday. That's when it comes back to bite you. So I highly encourage you, whether it is somebody who's a big celebrity or just a simple teacher trainer who's coming to teach or train something, that you do some vetting of your own. That they're good people. They have a good track record. Even though it may be the first time you're ever working with them, then you got to do a little background check, a little research, a little Googling, because that kind of stuff will come up. You don't want to work with somebody who's gonna play the game of holding out for the highest bidder, because if they make it about the cash too, then everyone's in big trouble. All right, I hope that helped. And there we go. Karen said, I can tell you I had many sleepless nights over this. Fortunately, in my 11 years of doing this with the chef, it never happened. So that's a great way to end this conversation. I'm reading it to you because I just want to make sure you all know what Karen just said. I could tell you I had many sleepless nights over this. Fortunately, in my 11 years of doing it, it's never happened. So the chances are very, very slim, especially if you have a track record, which I know you have to build, right? That takes time. You have to take those risks. And it's somebody you know, or at the very least, know you can trust. All right? Okay. Thank you, everyone, for participating, contributing there. So I'm going to ask this question. It's a big question right now. Now's your chance. Before we shut the door on today's business coaching session, you're here for a reason. If you're here just to eavesdrop, that's cool. I love you. Glad you're here. I hope your time here is paid off. If you're here to share something, to ask something, you got 60 seconds or else we're going to pull a plug on this conversation. I don't want to keep you any longer than I need to, because I know you're very, very, very busy in a great way right now. I don't know, a few months back, everyone was so busy attending 42,000 Zoom calls. I don't think that's happening anymore. I think your phone is ringing, your emails are coming in, and that's an awesome thing. And you need to really be diligent with what leads you take on, what groups you handle, right? Make good decisions. I hope that those 3 rules I shared with you, if you get that lead that comes in, you're going to do it by phone, not by email. Number 2, you're going to work by appointment. Number 3, you're not going to ask any yes or no questions, which you know, but you're going to sample, give a shot, give those 9 questions a shot, those probing questions. So here we go. Patty said, thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. Doreen says, love the 3 rules and 9 questions. Thanks, Misty, for writing them out for us. Yep, that was very, very kind. I appreciate that. All right, we're down to 30 seconds now. You got 30 seconds. Ask or don't ask. I don't want you clicking end or leave if you've got that nagging question or issue. Otherwise, you're good with group launch sequence. You're good with pitch perfect. You're good with the qualifying stage. You're good with all that kind of stuff. You're good with follow-up and using forms to capture information, which I'm doing right now for my sold out Alma Verde partial ship charter in July 2022. I'm using those same forms that I preach to you to use. That's so much more efficient. Doreen says, thanks so much for another great session. You are very, very welcome. All right, we got 5 seconds left. 5 seconds left. I'm going to say sayonara, good success. We're going to see you on June 24th. 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. I'm so grateful you spent this time with me. See you again next time.